Holy Gospel according to John. On the evening of that first day of the week, when the doors were locked where the disciples were for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood in their midst, and he said to them, "Peace be with you." When Jesus had said this, he showed them his hands and his side. The disciples rejoiced when they saw the Lord. And Jesus said to them again, "Peace be with you. As the Father has sent me, so I send you." And when Jesus had said this, he breathed on them and said, "Receive the Holy Spirit. Whose sins you forgive are forgiven them, and whose sins you retain are retained." Thomas, called Didymus, one of the 12, was not with them when Jesus came. So the other disciples said to him, "We have seen the Lord." But Thomas said to them, "Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands, and put my finger into the nail marks, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." Now a week later, his disciples were again inside, and Thomas was with them. Jesus came, although the doors were locked, and stood in their midst and said, "Peace be with you." And then Jesus said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and see my hands, and bring your hand and put it into my side. And do not be unbelieving, but believe." Thomas answered and said to him, "My Lord and my God." Jesus said to him, "Have you come to believe because you have seen me? Blessed are those who have not seen and have believed." Now Jesus did many other signs in the presence of his disciples, signs that are not written in this book. But these are written that you may come to believe that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that through this belief you may have life in his name. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Everyone has at least one scar on their body and a story to accompany the scar. Recently, I was in the waiting office of a dermatologist, and the people who were there in the waiting room began to compare scars and stories of their melanoma surgeries. I was very thankful that I was one of the first ones to go into the office because I didn't want to see any more scars or hear any more stories. All of us have scars, physical scars, emotional scars. You cannot live life without being hurt and scarred. In the gospel passage we just heard, Thomas demands to see the scars on Jesus' body. Thomas had some doubts when he was told by the other disciples that they had seen the Lord. Thomas had kind of an attitude of, "I gotta see it to believe it," as he says, "Unless I see the mark of the nails in his hands, and put my finger into the nail marks, and put my hand into his side, I will not believe." For Thomas, touching the scars on Jesus' body would be proof of the resurrection. We all know that Thomas has been given the nickname Doubting Thomas because he doubted the resurrection of Jesus. And I think sometimes maybe Thomas gets a bad rap for doubting. Yes, he had doubts, but Thomas was also a man of great faith and belief, because it was Thomas who was the first one to say to the risen Lord, "My Lord and my God." It was important that there were people like Thomas, people who could express doubt and demand proof, and then once presented with the truth, believe. Jesus' scars were proof that the resurrection was not a rumor, but it was real. For Thomas, the scars on Jesus' body meant that Jesus is truly risen from the dead. Today, as we listen to that gospel passage, what do the scars of Jesus mean to us? For us, the scars are a reminder of the humanity of Jesus Christ. You know, it is sometimes easy for us to accept the fact that Jesus was divine. But we sometimes forget the humanity of Christ. That Christ was human. He was like us in all things but sin. Yes, he was divine, but he was also human. So the scars remind us that Jesus felt pain just as we feel pain. The scars remind us that Jesus suffers just as we suffer. The scars remind us that Jesus remains human just as he remains divine. Jesus comes with his scars to be with us. To be with us with whatever scars we have. To be with us with whatever wounds we carry. To be with us with whatever hurt we are suffering. To be with us with whatever doubts we are experiencing. Jesus' scars are a reminder of his love for us and a reminder of his presence with us, a presence that brings resurrection and new life.